Similarities and differences between Buddhist and Taoist beliefs, based on the writing by Adam Emanuel Victor. Is existence suffering, or is life a gift that should be treasured and something that should be seen as a miracle? This question may seem quite simple to us, but this is just one of the many things that Buddhists and Taoists disagree on. Buddha said, "Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life." And this is significant, because both of these religions rely strongly on the idea that the most important thing in life is to be one with your soul and to have a great spiritual life. People believe that Taoism is heavily influenced by Buddhism, as well as Confucianism, but really more than anything, Taoism and Buddhism blend, while Confucianism is the social side of the Chinese religion. It differs from both Taoism and Buddhism in that they are individualist quests, not social organizing principles. It is known that Buddhism had a hard time getting translated from school to school when it first arrived in China, and because of that, it was not understood or accepted very well at the beginning. From the very beginning, when Buddhism came to China from India, there was a conflict of interests and beliefs. Many believed that the two could not coexist, and that there would need to be one religion chosen and proven to be teaching the truth of the world. Taoists eventually started to realize that it was not at all that different, and started to adapt to some of the Buddhist beliefs, and started to be more accepting when they noticed some similarities. After a while, they both started to take ideas from each other, and that is why they seem to have many of the same traits in the modern day. They both believe in complete emptiness, and that in reality, everything is of the nature of emptiness, and to overcome this emptiness, we must reach Tao through non-action, or Wu Wei, of mind and body, or, psychologically in Buddhism, through nirvana. Both religions don't believe in a creator god. Rather, the Buddhists follow Siddhartha Gautama, or Buddha, who was a royal Indian prince who left his position to explore why humans suffer, and Taoists worship emperor gods, but they do not believe in a creator god. Buddhism first made its way into China sometime between the 1st and 4th centuries, though it is not known exactly when. Scholars note that Buddhism made its way from the northwest to China via the two branches of the Continental Silk Road. Many merchants, travelers, and workers used this path to enter China, and it is most likely the case that Buddhism was spread by them to the local people. At first, many local people thought this to be almost identical to Taoism, but just an inferior version that was not worthwhile. It became known that many of the Chinese teachings did not match up with Buddhist beliefs, and therefore, Buddhism was teaching things that were not true, or many thought to be believable. Also, when Buddhism arrived, it was hard to translate from school to school, and because of that, many things were lost or misinterpreted, and therefore it was a setback, but was overcome later on. There are 3 different types of Buddhism. There is Theravada, the conservative type, Mahayana, the liberal type, and Vajrayana, the radical type. Theravada is the teaching of the elders, and the language that is used is Pali. It is the oldest Buddhist school, and was founded in India. It teaches only what Buddha taught, and nothing more than that, and puts much more emphasis on monks than the other types of Buddhism does. It sees nirvana as an unconditional realm, and the places where it is most prominent are Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, parts of Southwest China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Mahayana is the bigger of the Buddhist traditions, and Sanskrit is the language used. This includes women more than the Theravada does, and focuses on the idea of awakening others. They believe that nirvana is not different from samsara, more rituals and emphasis on emptiness and reaching nirvana than the Theravada, and refers to a level of spiritual motivation. It has more of a focus on a larger group than just yourself, and it originated in the 1st century BCE. The main schools of Mahayana Buddhism are Pure Land, Zen, Nichiren Buddhism, Shingon, Tibetan Buddhism, and Tendai. The 3rd and final type of Buddhism is Vajrayana, and is known as the most radical and rebellious type of Buddhism. It is also known as Tantric Buddhism. They believe that nirvana is attained in this exact body and must be strived for now, unlike the other 2 types. It is also believed that unwholesome acts are somewhat accepted if they are for the right reasons. For example, if you kill someone who makes threats to kill hundreds of innocent kids before he gets a chance to do so, is acceptable because you are using good karma. Karma is also something that Buddhism believes strongly in and something that you will not see in Taoism. Karma can be defined as the connection between actions and the results that come from those actions that you choose to make. If you choose to do good things, then good things will follow you where you go, but if you choose to do bad things, then bad things will be in your future. We need to decide what is right and wrong morally, and not let our judgment be affected by things that clutter our mind. We need to steer away from delusion, greed, and aversion, and if we do that, we can create good karma for ourselves. Going along with karma, Buddhists believe that you need to have good karma, so the process of rebirth will be a positive one for you. Rebirth is the process of being born over and over again, an infinite amount of times, until you reach nirvana and free yourself from the process of rebirth and can return to the nothingness in which you were made. Taoism can similarly be split into three different types, which are philosophical Taoism, religious Taoism, and folk Taoism. Philosophical Taoism first came about in the mid-3rd century BCE, and it strongly promotes that a government should interfere as little as possible and should help people to rid themselves of experiencing material wants or strong passions. There are many important people, but I believe that specifically three are the most influential, and those people are Lao Tzu, Confucius, and Chuang Tzu. Lao Tzu is a central figure in Taoism and was a philosopher and is commonly known as the Old Master. He wrote Tao Te Ching, Tao Te Ching, as departed forever into the forest. Though it has been said that it was a composite of authors, Lao Tzu is thought to be the main author. Confucius was a social philosopher, and his ideas were passed over for the most part until after his death. Chuang Tzu believed that our life is limited, but the amount of knowledge we can obtain is unlimited, and he was also a philosopher. Religious Taoism was a fully developed religious system by the 5th century BCE, and it has many similarities to Mahayana Buddhism. It references the Jade Emperor and explains him as the ruler of heaven and all the realms of existence, including man and hell, because he is at the top of the hierarchy of gods and immortals. Religious Taoism talks about Mount Tai and refers to Mount Tai in modern day as the Emperor of the Eastern Mountain. This specific type of Taoism early on was not very well conceived, and because of that, many Chinese secret societies were formed to practice their religious beliefs without fear. Folk Taoism, which has the smallest following, focuses on the rituals of sacrifice, draws heavily on ancient Chinese mythology, and strongly uses ancestor worship. When we talk about Taoism, something that is very important to them is the idea of body and mind. When we talk about body in regard to Taoism, we must mention Qi. Taoists look at the body and say that it consists of patterned flows of qi, or vital energy and blood. When you look at the flow of qi in your body, you must look at the way the energy is flowing in nature and in the outside world as well, because Taoists believe that it is closely related. Qi can be seen as anything from the air that you breathe to your state of consciousness that you are in. Taoists, by referring to qi, are showing us that the mind, body, and environment are all closely related and need to be in harmony. There are many similarities and differences between Taoism and Buddhism. Both religions use meditation, but they use it in different ways to achieve different things. The goal of Buddhist meditation is to release all of your desires and come to the realization that every living being is equal, and to reach a nirvana state. There are two paths to nirvana, and those are the path of accumulation and the path of preparation. Buddhism has two types of bhavana, and that is samatha and vipassana. Samatha is the cleaning and cleansing of the mind and soul, while quieting mental confusion, while the vipassana is the true nature of reality and impermanence. Vipassana uses the Four Noble Truths, dukkha, samuddaya, nirodha, marga, and focuses on the understanding of them. Taoists refer to meditation as guarding the One, and it is a form of concentration meditation which is different than the Buddhist form of meditation, which focuses on conceptuallessness. They use meditation to gain union with the Tao and to become one with the Tao. There are three main steps that you take into gaining union with the Tao. The beginner phase is starting by improving the body. Then you do the intermediate phase, which is your move to improving the mind, and finally, the hard phase, which is improving the spirit, and this can only be accomplished after the other two phases have been mastered and through much dedication.